This podcast is a member of WGPRN, WildGamesProductions.com.
Welcome, folks, to Darker Days. Yes, we're back with another episode this week. Episode number 9. I am Vince, your host, along with Mark, my co-host. Mark, how are you doing this week?
I'm doing pretty good, actually. A little bit fluey today, so if I start rambling incoherently, you can put it down to the fever. But other than that, doing well. Welcome, folks, yes, to another episode of Phil Wheatley Presents Dark Days Radio. Good to have you all here.
And this week, the Chuck-Man Cometh. That's right. Chuck Wendig
What's
is
up,
on our
guys?
show. How you doing, Chuck?
I'm super. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Happy to be here.
I'm glad you are. I've been looking forward to speaking with you because of the Hunter line's one of my favorite lines for the World of Darkness, and we have quite a few questions from our listeners and from me. So, Mark, you still there?
I am indeed still here. Yeah, Chuck, welcome to the show. It's great to have you on board. I'm not as familiar with the Hunter line as Vince is, but I'm looking forward to getting stuck in and seeing where we go.
Awesome. Let's do it.
Well, let's break
Cool.
into the mail, Mark. We probably don't have too much mail this week, but reach down there deep and see what we got.
Well, there's one mail, one whole mail.
Ooh.
That's not surprising given that this show is being recorded less than a week since the last one went out, but there you go. So the mail this week comes from Alakov, who's asking us if we want to cover the Mummy the Resurrection game at some point. So Alakov, yeah, for sure. It's got a fascinating little history there from its inception as a supplement for Vampire the Masquerade through to its own splat book during the second edition era and then the revised era hardcovers. So definitely it's on the list, and we'll get around to that. We couldn't leave it at just one mail, of course, though, so I decided in my boredom to go looking into our spam folder.
Mark.
So, what kinds of spam will we be receiving here at Darker Days?
Let's get you in trouble doing that.
There's the usual offers to show me how to become a sexual titan, improve the size of my apparently inadequate manhood, requests from a bewildering variety of businesses and lotteries and charities, all of whom simply want to give me money. I tell you, Vince, we even made it. We are rich, buddy. Just look in that folder. We've got thousands and thousands coming our way.
Woo!
It occurred to me, though, that this would actually be a really cool hook for a World of Darkness or Hunter game, communicating through networks of spam. The whole, kind of like the Network Zero idea from Hunter the Vigil. Nobody reads this stuff. You could hide all sorts of super secret information in there.
Those ciphers.
Those cheap Canadian medicines, they could really actually be based on Vampire Vitae. The offer to, and I'm quoting here, turn my tiny knob into a huge wand might do just that, or maybe it's a secret initiation into a cult of Atlantean sex wizards, or maybe some of these messages are leaking through from a parallel reality where we really did win £800,000 on the lottery. So anyway, that's the mailbag this week. Mummy the Resurrection and unparalleled sexual potency all in one. Who could ask for more?
Not me.
No. Also,
Done. Sold.
Also, a quick shout out to 3 new members over at the forums, Braggadocio, Law, and Ravenna. Hi guys, and welcome aboard.
Welcome to all our new members, and let's move on to network news.
I can't believe I did that.
Okay, and as Mark, you love the little children laughing in the background. That's your favorite part, isn't it?
It just is, yeah. Can't get enough scary children.
That's right. So, first for the WGPR and network news, I want to welcome Mark, another Mark. Right, Mark?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes, indeed, yeah.
and his new show, Liquid Weird. I downloaded a couple of the episodes. So far, so good. Mark is really busting out the information about different shows and how to different RPGs and how to create crafts. And he brought some special guests on. He's working his way up. He has about 8 episodes like us, but we have 9 now, so we're in the lead. Mark, you have that website?
Pipping ahead, yeah. It's www.liquidweird.net. Like Vince says, it's a mostly gaming podcast, covers RPGs, from D&D and World of Darkness to more indie games like Masquerade and the Horus Essence, plus a little look at fantasy authors and general geek interest. It's very cool indeed, so check it out, liquidweird.net. And with a name like Mark, how can he go wrong?
Yeah, that's true. Also, we have Now Playing that's on the network with Matt Buffington and Olivia. Waiting for them for their second episode. I know they're having a little bit of difficulties, but I'm sure they will. And by the way, I heard that, Olivia, you were judging me on that statement. Ha. Okay, so that's the end of the network news. We did have some White Wolf news. An update from Warchild, I believe it is, right, Mark?
Yeah, Warchild does a podcast for the EVE Online game, and on a tip from Warchild, it turns out that rumor has it that CCP and White Wolf are having some kind of private party on September the 5th, where the rumor has it that they may well be unveiling something for the World of Darkness Online game. Looks like a local nightclub has been rented out and is going to be decked out as the Succubus Club. Now, it could well be a little bit of time before anything concrete comes out, but maybe things are moving along, and we hear also that CCP have trademarked the name Vampire the Requiem for a computer game, so we're not going to put Chuck on the spot just now and demand that he spill whatever secrets he knows, but we'll stay tuned.
Because they'll kill me. They'll kill me. They're dead right now, which would be a great moment to show, because I'll just die and it'll be captured in podcast history.
Damn you, CCP, and those NDAs.
That's right.
So, in a couple of days, maybe we'll have something more to report, but check out on the next show, and we'll see what there is to say.
I know that's probably one of the big questions a lot of people keep asking on the forum, so there is some information, some updates. Hopefully, Warchild will come back and give us some more updates as time progresses, and let us know what's going on.
We kind of have ourselves to blame a little bit in that regard, because in our first show we were all like, we're going to provide you with regular news on World of Darkness Online, and it took us about 90 seconds to get through everything we could find out, and that's nothing since. So.
All we said was it's coming out soon.
Yeah.
All right, well, I guess that ends that. Mark, we're going to go on to your favorite and everybody's favorite segment of the show. What's that called, Mark?
Scary children. Secret frequency.
Okay.
Bring it on. Yeah. Okay, folks. This episode, the Secret Frequency, tunes into the International Necronautical Society. Now, mapping the afterlife. It's an ancient discipline. From sources as diverse as the Tibetan Book of the Dead, Egyptian Book of the Dead, the medieval death dance inscriptions. In the modern era, it has a more artistic bent to it. The International Necronautical Society are artists who, through their art, want to map, enter, colonize, and eventually inhabit the realms of death. Their ultimate aim is the construction of a craft that will convey them into death in such a way that they may, if not live, then at least persist there. The INS was founded in 1999 to investigate the role of death in literature, art, and culture. And through art, they hope to be able to tap into the afterlife, to learn its secrets and map its hidden pathways. Exactly what kind of art are we talking about here, then? What do these people actually practice? What do they get up to? Well, as an example, in Amsterdam in 2001, the INS reconstructed a Mafia Street shootout that occurred in Amsterdam a few years earlier in 1998, which resulted in one death. The shootout, that is, not the reconstruction. They had moments and gestures and events from the original shootout, and they isolated these and reenacted them, first on a kind of a big grid square on the street, literally place by place, step by step, completely accurate to the original shootout, surrounded by cameras. And then they did it in a wind tunnel at the cost of, $5,000 a day, using real guns, of course. So that kind of art. Now, admittedly, the International Necronautical Society sound a bit like a crackpot offshoot of the Society for Psychic Research or something like that, but they reject literal interpretations of their endeavors. For them, it's about the art. Yes, they claim to wish to create a craft to carry themselves beyond death, but for the Necronauts, craft can denote a vehicle, a technology, or it can denote a craft in the sense of know-how, like cutting and planing as the craft of the carpenter. One such craft is the proposed drug Thanadrine. They intend to synthesize this drug, Thanadrine, and use it to induce death-like states, much like ketamine has been used to induce near-death experiences. So it's clear where we're going with this. You have a bunch of slightly mad artists who, by means of interpretive dance or whatever, seek to map out the afterlife. So for the purpose of World of Darkness games, what if it works? Now, there are a lot of groups in the World of Darkness that try to reach beyond the shroud that separates the living from the dead. There's nothing new there. Similar groups from the old World of Darkness included the Orphic Circle, the Wisteria Prophets, the Vigilian Foundation for Thanatic Research. These three in particular are very much like the Necronauts in Outlook. But what's cool about the International Necronautic Society is that they're regular folk. They're not mages, they're not mediums, they're not supernatural beasties, they're just artists. They're kind of a fringe group in that regard, which makes them perfect fodder for your games. And as a hunter is the general theme for this show, let's cast them in that light first. How might we use these guys in a hunter game? Well, there's an obvious, the first obvious use is the hunters might hear about the International Necronautical Society. They might learn that the Necronauts have had unexpected success in producing consistent and recognizable maps of the afterlife. These maps might end up drawing the attention of those who know the truth about these things, abyssal mages or Giovanni vampires or sin eaters. And where these groups emerge from the shadows, the hunters can be close behind. Maybe you've got a close NPC, a family relative or a friend or loved one who's become infatuated with the group. They have to be saved before something horrible happens to them. Maybe you've got an occult force at work behind the INS. Maybe there's a mage who's manipulating them to use them to map the afterlife without drawing attention to himself. Or you have a vampire looking to make contact with a long-dead lover. Or a powerful wraith who is teaching them a ritual expressed as art, which will then tear a hole in the shroud for whatever nefarious purpose might be at hand. And this, for example, might tie in well with the Geist Quick Start adventure, which had a plot very similar to that. The Necronauts also make for cool antagonists because, well, simply put, they don't know what they're doing. Other groups like the Orphic Circle or the Sons of Tertullian or whomever, they might have all sorts of sinister motives for meddling with the underworld. The Necronauts, well, they just want to make great art. The road to hell, of course, is paved with such foolishness. Of course, that makes them hard to combat. If they won't stop what they're doing, what do you do about it? Arrest them? For what? Unlicensed mime? Scare them away? They'd probably just enjoy it. Kill them? Really? Kill innocent artists?
Yes.
Well, okay, maybe just kill them a bit.
All right.
Anyway, there you have it. Another glimpse from the real world into your World of Darkness games, the International Society of Necronauts. So next time you're shopping at the mall and you spot a group of guys in black leotards leaping about the place to strange percussion music, just take the time to drop a few pennies in their hat. You never know what strange spaces are being mapped by them just beyond the borders of the living world.
Wow.
Wow.
Where did we find that one this week?
Yeah, a little more lighthearted than normal, but I just had this overwhelming image of the guys from the Praise You video by Fatboy Slim, and then all of a sudden the walls between reality rip open and Neverborn comes shambling out or something,
Yeah, that's not lighthearted, Neverborn. Coming shambling out, by the way. That's not light and cheery.
All right. That was some great news there. Boy. Okay, let's move on to our old World of Darkness segment, or classic, as Mark likes to always repeatedly beat into my head. Chuck, how do you refer to the original World of Darkness? Oh, original, classic, or what?
Diet. I refer to it as Diet World of Darkness. No, yeah, usually old World of Darkness, previous World of Darkness. Classic is good. I like classic.
Okay. Well, as anybody who's anybody, which would be nobody, knows that Chuck is one of the people that did work on the original Hunter line.
I did.
And he's very proud of it.
I am very proud of it. I'm actually very serious. I love that game line.
It's a very good game line. Mark and I have put together some information about it. Mark, what have you found out about the information here?
Well, what I liked about Hunters generally is the fact they've always been in the World of Darkness. You know, Hunter has its own game line now, and had its own game line, Hunter the Reckoning, toward the end of the old World of Darkness. But they've actually been in there as part of the game world way back when they were just antagonists for Vampire the Masquerade. You know, your classic Van Helsing types, and these are still good for all incarnations of the game to this day. It's a great archetype. It's easy for players to understand. Also, and we're still way back in the days of Vampire First Edition, a book came out called The Hunters Hunted, which I recall was just met with real excitement back then. You can play Hunters. They have true faith. They have hedge magic. Great stuff. And that's still a cool supplement to this day. And if you can get a hold of a physical copy or a PDF of it, it's worth just taking a look anyway. The early sections of it are very fluff-heavy, almost no mechanics in there at all, and it still stands up to scrutiny in the modern World of Darkness as well now. It promotes the ideas of hunters being solitary rather than operating in groups. Recent years, hunters got a little bit more splat-heavy. So lone hunters, and it's a less popular concept for playing as a group. Because by definition, there's a group of you, But take a look at this for your modern games, and I know Hunter the Vigil supports this. Strip back the population, make the hunters rare, make them feared. And if you have a small playing group of 2 or 3 players, it's a good model to follow. There was a bunch of books that followed on after that featured these hunter groups in more detail, and they became very prominent in World of Darkness Canon. Things like the FBI Special Affairs Division, the NSA, the Arcanum, the Inquisition, the Society of Leopold. It also featured the Children of Osiris, a vampire clan with a really crazy discipline called Bardo. They were later retconned out of existence, which I'm kind of torn whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, because on the one hand I thought they were kind of silly, but on the other hand, I thought the Children of Osiris were also pretty cool as a concept, so I'm in mixed minds about that. And this Hunters Hunted book also had, I was looking through it today, it had Kanglor the Lupine, which just from a historical point of view I thought was great, because he's there before there even was a werewolf game, and he's got vampire stats, but the guy's clearly a werewolf. So that was fun. These hunter groups, they got expanded coverage in the Old World of Darkness Year of the Hunter series, which is an awesome series of books. Some of the best general Old World of Darkness books for hunters. And they're super useful for New World of Darkness games as well. The Halls of the Arcanum book makes for a brilliant group of scholar researchers. If you're familiar with Anne Rice, they're basically just a Talamasca. Sorry, say again?
Didn't say anything.
Nope.
Okay, sorry, I'm just getting a bit of feedback. Just feedback here, sorry. The Arcanum has good fluff, good resources, some good maps, NPCs, nice plot ideas. The FBI Special Affairs Division and related government groups got good coverage in a book called Project Twilight, and that can fit in any game, modern or old. It's well developed organizationally, and it has what I think to this day is still one of the best gaming resources out there, which is Bob Schnoblin's Pyramid of Satanic Power. I don't know if you guys ever saw this.
No.
Did you see that, Chuck? You know what I mean?
No, I recall it,
no?
but no, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
Well, it's like this. Bob Schnoblin is a sort of he's a parody of Fox Mulder, and he has this organogram, his ramblings on how he thinks the world is put together, and it's a one-page picture, clearly done by a guy who's not entirely in the right mind, and scattered throughout are these little nuggets, mentioning Clan, Ventru, and the Prometheans, and the Serpent People from the Hollow Earth, all tied together in this crazy, rambling depiction of what a mortal guy might think the World of Darkness really looks like from the outside. Loads of fun. And the Inquisition, of course, later got used in the Dark Ages line, as we covered that in an earlier show episode 1 or 2, I think, Vince. I don't really recall.
I think it was 2, maybe 3. Yeah,
was
I
it?
had fun.
Way back when.
I had fun running that with my group. So.
Anyway, the important thing about these books is that they really make it clear that dead normal mortals have not missed what's going on in the World of Darkness. And this helps ground the games, helps counterbalance the fantastic with the mundane. And these are enemies who you just can't go and kill them, not unless you want the entire FBI coming after you. So it's no longer the issue of just a couple of lone hunters to worry about. You've got the amassed might of several large government agencies breathing down your neck. And then came The Reckoning, and the game line named after it, Hunter the Reckoning. Now, I remember when this came out, me and my buddies were just like, whoa, it's the Buffy game, which was a really big hit at the time. We really just, that was the impression we got. I mean, was that much of an inspiration, would you say, Chuck? Or is that just a kind
Buffy?
of a pub? Yeah.
No, actually, it was very, I know this sounds weird, but it was kind of an anti-inspiration. Like, Hunter the Reckoning didn't want to approach it from that sort of funny, kind of almost parodic type elements. We wanted to be that sort of gritty, holy crap, everybody's going to lose. You're about to steer the whole world into a terrible accident. Can you sort of steer it, so everybody doesn't die? Can you save a few people while killing most of them? Whereas Buffy tends to be a little bit more over-heroic. It didn't really quite gel with that.
Right, and once we actually looked into it, of course, you see that's not the case. But I remember when it first came out, we were like, oh, it's a Buffy game, but no.
Well, and the art didn't help either because it's a girl with a stake on the cover of the one book. It's like, hey, look, it's Buffy. She's right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see her. Yeah. Now, I mean, was it tied particularly into the meta plot of the time? The whole reckoning leading up to Time of Judgment, or is it something that had been brewing before then?
I don't know how long it had been brewing before that point because I had been brought on at the time of Reckoning. But I know it was certainly a big thing, that had been figured into the meta plot for, up before I got there. Certainly it was kind of this whole, they were building to the Gehenna, to the Apocalypse, and Reckoning was certainly the sort of the presaging to that. It was releasing the demons, and then when the demons came, it was this whole, shit hits the fan kind of a thing. I can say shit hits the fan, right? We have it.
You can indeed. You can say it twice,
books.
in fact.
Shit hits the fan. I'll say it 3 times. 3 times a charm. So yeah, it was definitely part of it. Definitely a part of the meta plot. A big cornerstone to that.
Cool.
Now I'm going to make this podcast explicit now.
Now, that said, though, it always struck me that it doesn't need to be attached to the meta plot. And if you wanted to use some of it for inspiration in the New World of Darkness game, not that you maybe need to, given there's also Hunter the Vigil, but it struck me that you don't necessarily need the Heralds or the Time of Reckoning. You could, for example, rule that these kinds of hunters have always existed. Now, if that's true, though, of course, how might that affect your game world? That's something that the storyteller would need to take on board. Would it make your supernatural creatures even more cautious than they already are? Maybe they're on the run. Maybe these hunters aren't as rare as you might think they are, and the supernatural beings of the world of darkness are really having to keep their heads down. And this, for listeners who tuned in last show, this ties back into the discussion we had about lowering the population of all your supernatural creatures across the board, making them much rarer and giving a whole more spookier tone to it.
Okay. And I'm going to take a closer real look into this. I'm going to get a little fact points out about this, and if some of them are wrong, I apologize. I haven't played Hunter in a long time, so Chuck, you could probably jump in here and say, no.
Well, yeah, hey, I forget these things too. I fade in and out. I barely remember to tie my shoes and wear pants, so.
Well, that's important. You don't want to go to jail because we need you to write more books for us to play. So.
All right, I'll get on that right now. Hold on 1 second.
So basically, from what I remember, basically you get a wake-up call from the Heralds telling you that monsters exist all around you. They could be your doorman, your postman, or even the paper boy. So you never know. And hunters have the ability of second sight, which allows the hunter to actually see the monster from within. Now, where did you get your inspiration for that certain ability for all the hunters, Chuck?
Well, I didn't get the inspiration. They just told me that was true, and I agreed with them. No, I came on, to give you a little quick tiny bit of history, I came on with Hunter Book Wayward. Is when I first started writing for White Wolf. So by that point, the Hunter whole thing it was ready to go, and the book was out, and actually about half the books were already out by that point. So I don't know exactly where it came from, but I know that they wanted to give Hunter some way, some edge, quote unquote, and of course they also have edges, but some edge over the monsters that's just beyond the, hey, I'm a normal guy, I have a bat, I'm going to beat a vampire in the head. So it's this whole thing that you can see the vampires and you can affect the vampires in certain weird little ways.
Right, and then the Heralds also gave you edges, which are pretty much the Hunter's powers, quote unquote, with special things that they can do. I don't remember any offhand because it's been a while. Mark,
well, yeah, you could have a bat that glowed with holy fire. You could tag a thing with sort of black smoke so other hunters could see the black smoke, but no monsters could see the black smoke. You could do some cool stuff like redemptive powers. So, the edges were always kind of a weird... The interesting thing about edges is they didn't have a standard progression from 1 to 5. Like, you look at a power scale today and it's like 1 is a smaller thing, 2 is a slightly bigger thing, 3 is a bigger thing, up until 5. Well, the edges were designed as in, like, the first dot was what would a hunter need most right now. So sometimes the first dot was actually somewhat powerful.
Yes.
But then the second dot would be something that was a little less versatile but more specific, and it would kind of branch out that way. It wasn't necessarily a power scale until, of course, you got to the unbuyable 5th dot, which was a crazy explosion of rage and hunter awesomeness.
Massive explosion of power, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Also, you're a type of hunter in the book, as they described. You could decide you could straight out kill these monsters, try to redeem them through different ways, or just study them to help the efforts of all the other hunters out there. I know there was a couple. There used to be Hunter.net, I think there was. This was a fictional internet for all hunters to gather up and give information to each other.
Yeah, that's very cool. I like that, yeah.
I don't know if it still exists. It probably is long gone, but...
Yeah, I love that. That was a great aspect of that whole game.
And I did like that one book that was put, I think it was with the zombies. All the hunters told their stories and all the letters that they got about their dealings with zombies.
Yeah, Walking Dead.
Yes,
Walking Dead,
Walking
absolutely.
Dead, yes. Let's see. Hunters realize that once they start the good fight, that friends and family are no longer an option in their life. So, and there's quite a bit of flaws in the book, so you can go through the book forever and find various flaws to keep your hunter pumped out there and going, such as terminal illnesses.
And the flaws for Hunter were very different. They were like, I owe back taxes. Like, they were really kind of like mundane people flaws, which made a very interesting, complex character.
What I like about this is what strikes me, one of the whole idea of the hunters, you've got these people who can see things that others can't. They're divorced and separated from their families. They're really thrust almost then to the edge of society, And I remember reading about the second sight, and one of the first things that occurred to me as I'm reading it is like, well, what if it's wrong? I love the idea of these people who the postman, he's a vampire, I'm going to kill him. No, he's not a vampire at all. He's just the postman, and now you're on the run from the law. And that doesn't fit into the hunter ethos, because the idea of being the second sight works. But I just love the idea of people going around seeing things. Bob's a monster. He's a monster.
Well, and that was actually part of it. They kind of wrote into there that idea that hunters might actually feel crazy. That was part of it. Like, hey, I vampire. I killed him. Oh my god, because he turned to ash or he reverted to a normal human being or whatever the mythology was at that particular point. But holy crap, I'm actually just crazy. This isn't real at all. I'm just
totally. I think something really successful could be made out of that. A short-term chronicle, or if you're playing with just one or two players, you could get focus right in close and do a whole kind of psychodrama thing there. Where am I actually a hero of the night, or am I just a nutter with a bat?
Right.
Well, my take on hunters, they were really powerful. I mean, Hunter the Reckoning, they were really badass, really powerful. You can pretty much run around as one hunter and take out a group of vampires. I remember doing this as a hunter myself, so they were badass, from my opinion. So
they were pretty badass. I certainly enjoyed playing them. Yeah.
Go ahead, Mark.
It was that potent. I never played them. They really were that potent, eh?
Yes. It definitely, and we'll see in a second that from the old hunter to the new hunter, there was a big change in, I guess, how they're powered-wise, I would say. But we'll get on to that in a second. I think that wraps up the original hunter. Mark, you have any last comments about this?
The one thing that Hunter has struck me about actually has very little to do with the canonical World of Darkness. I had this kind of crazy idea in my head for a while about an alternate world setting, a fantasy setting, if you will, that uses the splats from the World of Darkness, old or new, and just completely casts them in a totally new light. So your hunt, if it's a fantasy setting, your hunters can be recast as holy knights or champions of a certain cause, and their edges can be put toward that. Your mages could be priest kings. Your vampires and the different vampire clans, they need not be undead at all. They simply could be groups of people with different sets of powers. And for some reason, every time I think about Hunter, this idea keeps kind of cropping up in my head that you could take a toolkit approach to them and totally rework them and completely reskin them as something utterly different to a modern horror game. So not entirely on topic there, but that's just one thing that I can't quite get out of my head.
Interesting.
Well, the Dark Ages did that a little bit with because the Inquisition had things like conviction, like the Reckoning Hunters had the conviction trait, and so they were. I don't want to say they were a reskin of the Reckoning Hunters, but they had elements of that carried up into as these sort of holy Inquisitors.
Yeah.
So you're definitely on a valid train of thought there.
Oh well, that's good to know.
Definitely. All right, so that'll wrap up that. Let's move on to the Hunter, the Vigil, which is all the rage with all the kids right now, and let's set the mood for this.
Super popular.
Little background music for you guys. So basically, Hunter the Vigil. What can we say about this?
It's awesome. Please buy it. How'd that go? That good?
Yeah, that works out well too. I'm enjoying it, reading it, and I will be playing it in my group. I'm starting my players out as mortals, and the Vigil will open up for them. I'll talk about that a little bit later. But my opinion, they seem a lot weaker compared to what they used to be. I don't know, maybe you guys scaled it back because that's what they wanted, or that was the feedback?
Well, there's a few things there as to kind of what happened. First of all, we wanted to make sure that hunters were very potent, but they were potent more in groups than they were as individuals. Mm-hmm. Whereas the Reckoning Hunters were a little more potent individuals rather than in groups. This idea that, if mankind kind of represents a cattle herd, and if you spook the herd, well, they can stomp any big bad vampire that comes in their way, because, humanity has the numbers, more or less. So, with hunters in groups, in the Vigil, you get, not only do you have the endowments if you're on a conspiracy angle, but you also have the things like tactics and risking willpower and stuff that become all the more powerful with the more people you have. So that's certainly part of it. Though I will say, in groups, they can be very powerful. They can take down, having run the game a few times now, they can take down things you did not expect that they could take down in groups.
So
it's like, oops.
Let me interject here real quick while these people are probably wondering, some people that don't have the Hunter line, which they should be buying, because Chuck said to buy it, and what Chuck says, Chuck goes. There are 3 different tiers of Hunter you can pick. There's basically Tier 1, which is cells, like, a group of 2 to 12 people around there, small. And then you have the compacts, which would be like, the bigger groups, just large enough that they're over 12, but what is it, under 100 usually, 50, something like that. There's not much.
They're kind of tweaked for however you need them for your games, but
right.
They're in the lower end of the spectrum, sure.
Right, and the compacts are pretty much the basic thing I've gotten out of using compacts is that you're networked, you have a lot more support. You have people to go on for allies, such and things like that. Now, this is where the fun starts, is the conspiracies, Tier 3. Tier 3 is when you get all the endowments and the special powers and all the good stuff that comes with all the Hunter that you remember from the good days. That's just my take on the 3 tiers.
I like the 3-tier system.
Awesome.
Sorry?
I was about to say, that's what's awesome, that you have your own. This is what you like about it, is the conspiracy tier. That's kind of what you dig about it. But there are people who don't want to play conspiracy. I have a buddy who he wants to play compact only. That's what he loves. He doesn't want to be the super-powered hunter. He wants to be the guy who's kind of alone, and has this kind of group of like-minded weirdos who, they have no magical powers or magical items or whatever the case may be. So we tried to really, paint with a shotgun there and give everybody a different kind of experience that they wanted.
Right.
Well, I think it's a real strength of the New World of Darkness line in general. Is this, and you hear it bandied around a lot, the whole toolkit idea. Where in these 3, the first, second, and third tier characters for Hunter the Vigil, you kind of have the ability to capture a whole variety of different levels of organization that were scattered across the old World of Darkness Hunter things. From little individuals through small groups all the way up to things like the Arcanum or the Inquisition or Special Affairs Division. So I really appreciated that. Written into the core is this toolkit approach where, let's see where we want to set the dial. 1, 2, or 3.
Right.
Now, did I understand properly about the endowments that they work as merits? Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that in the same kind of way as in Second Sight, that the psychic powers in Second Sight are described as merits?
Yeah. I mean, that's the same kind of idea. It's
Cool.
with mortal characters and stuff, you can kind of frame it as a little bit of a cheaper power and sort of a, this idea that any human can have it, and if they're given a certain, quote unquote template.
Yeah. Well, I found in the second sight I thought that worked really well. So, you don't have some guy who's got a vast spread of different kinds of powers. Maybe he's got a handful of merits here. Like you said, I think that fits the whole mortal angle much, much better. That's good stuff.
So my group, we're using actually compacts because I don't want them to be too powerful, but I want them to have that connection going on. I want them to have maybe a safe house to run to, have some people to rely on, maybe get some type of weaponry going after a while. But I don't want them to have the, Hunter the Reckoning style, as much as I love that stuff, the conspiracy level endowments, pretty much. I just wanted you to explain, Chuck, to go over real quick for our listeners. Now, Hunters have the ability, which is, I don't remember seeing anywhere else, the ability to risk their willpower.
True.
So they can throw up a willpower point and risk it, and get some special benefits with that. Can you just explain briefly how you came across this and how it works?
Well, as far as why we came across it, it's one of those things where, we didn't want to mimic things from Reckoning just to mimic them, but we wanted to pull things from there if they were appropriate to what we were trying to do. And the ability in Reckoning to take your conviction, which is a little bit more of a supernatural willpower, quote unquote, in that game, and risk it and gamble it and put it into play that way. Something we carried over because thematically it's appropriate that, these normal human beings have this normal human willpower, but when they kind of set foot on the Vigil, they're a little, they're making a choice. They're making kind of a crazy person choice to go out there and step into the into the shadows and fight monsters. Well, okay, so it's a gamble. That whole life is a gamble. So it kind of is a, we wanted to have this thematic punch that when they they put their willpower on the line, they put their lives in the line, that it's always a gamble. And so putting willpower that way, you can get some of it back, or you can lose it all and dramatically fail.
Yeah, you can get it back, and I believe one of the benefits also is if you get 3 successes, it becomes 5 successes.
Yeah, you can choose different ways to apply it. Yeah, that's one of the options. 3 successes can become an exceptional success automatically. You can, gain the standard bonus. You can gain, I think it's 9 again or 8 again. I don't have the book in front of me. But yeah, and you can kind of apply them in different ways, however you feel. Because, different kinds of roles are going to gain from different kinds of benefits. So.
Okay.
It reminds me a little bit of the old force point system from the old D6 Star Wars game, where you'd spend a force point to do something, and if it went well or if it was appropriate to the light side, you'd get the force point back later, which was kind of nice.
They do that with the new Saga edition too. If you're using
as well, is that? Oh, okay.
Yeah, if you're using your force power and you roll a 20 on it, you automatically gain all your force powers back, and I think a point, I believe it is. I'm not too certain. I don't play too often.
Okay.
That's not my specialty. Bah, Wizard of the Coast.
Chuck, Wikipedia says there's going to be a Hunter board game. Is that true?
Oh, there is a Hunter board game already.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's already? Oh, cool.
It's,
awesome.
I forget, Deadly Prey, is that what it's called?
Okay.
It's great. We play tested it before it was actually on the board, so we got Ken Cliff, the developer there, who actually also developed Hunter the Reckoning, and who's the guy who hired me originally. He sent out these great little cut out cards and stuff, hand cut cards to do playtests, so it was fun.
Cool.
I did have one question about the compacts though. Let's see, it's a merit you could pick, but I'm just curious how it works as far as, do you pick your status from the status feat, or is it replace the status feat by using the compact merit? I said feat, wow, sorry about that.
I was going to say, did you say feat?
Yeah, we just talked about Saga, and that just popped into my head. Wow. Everybody in the forums can yell at me now. Go ahead.
No, you mean does the status compact status change regular status, or what's the question?
I'm trying to figure out, because you can pick a profession if you're not in tier 3, which is something a little bit different, but then you pick your compact, whatever you want to be. Say you make up one on your own, you pick how many dots, you pick your merit and how many dots. Now, does you pick status to affect that, or is that replace status pretty much?
Well, status is not a one and done kind of a thing. So in other words, I can have status parentheses police force 3. I can have status parentheses the parent teacher association 2, and so you can have actually 5 or 6 different status traits that cover your particular status in any given organization. So you can have status in a compact, status in a conspiracy, and you can also have a profession isn't beholden only to those with compacts either. You can have them in the conspiracy as well. Any hunter will have a profession.
Okay, I just wanted to get that cleared up because I was a little confused on that and just getting ready to play. So,
cool.
Well, not the second, but
Right. Well, I'll play. I'm here. I have dice. Damn it.
Okay, so you guys walk into a building. There is a spooky monster in the background. What do you do?
4 orcs are guarding your chest.
Wait. Damn it.
He attacks and kills you. No, kidding. Anyway, let's see. Endowments. What made you think of the word endowments as opposed to edges again? Just want a new word?
We just like words. Words are fun. We say them a lot, and we drink and come up with new words. No, edges was, first of all, again, we didn't want to carry things over needlessly from Reckoning. Edges were kind of a very specific thing that the messengers, the heralds, kind of gave you this, like, hey, here's this tiny little edge that's going to put, maybe not get you killed today. Whereas endowments are, like if I, trying to think of a good way to put it, but if I'm a member of a certain organization, the organization may have certain endowments that it gives to its members. So we wanted kind of almost that clinical term. It's like, well, we're the Task Force Valkyrie. We're government bureaucracy. Here's your endowment. It's like, just sort of has that almost bureaucratic tone to it.
Definitely. I definitely enjoy the book. I give this book, let's see, out of 5 stars, I'll give it 4.9.
I'll take it. Done.
Mark, what do you say?
Pretty good. I've really enjoyed what little I've read about it. I was looking over some of the conspiracies today. The Ascending ones, they really jumped right out at me. One of the old World of Darkness hunter groups that I enjoyed using the most were the Ikhwan al-Safa. They're kind of a bunch of Islamic witch hunters. And I was wondering if they were they an inspiration at all for the Ascending ones, or is this just a bit of kind of parallel development going there?
Yeah, well, there's nothing that's like a direct inspiration. First of all, though, just to give you a quick heads up as to how the Vigil kind of came to be and came into my hands. Justin Achille, who he's kind of old school White Wolf guy, and he put together a Bible, and actually he posted that on his website, which I think is justinachille.com.
Yes.
And he posted the Bible there, and it's this kind of this great giant mammoth idea box for Hunter the Vigil, and it lays out kind of the early seeds of the compacts and conspiracies as to what they became. And one in there was sort of this Islamic hunter group, and we wanted to kind of take that in a few different directions to give it a few different faces. And so the Ascending one sort of grew out of that. As for whether, where the inspiration comes from on that, the great thing is there's so many different inspirations in this, both quote-unquote classic World of Darkness and, World of Darkness Nouveau, we'll call it that there's a lot you can grab from.
Very cool. Yeah, I liked it. I would probably gravitate toward conspiracies because I tend to go for that kind of thing. The Maleficarum I thought was great. Ascending was, like I said. I'm not going to try and pronounce the Greek one, but that looked pretty cool too.
Aegis Kaidoro. That's how I always say it.
That's the ones. There you go. There's the guys. Yeah, good stuff.
Shield.
Yeah. Excellent.
Sounds pretty good. Well, go out there, buy the book, support Chuck so he can write many more fabulous books for us, because I know he's working on something which he can't tell us about, but I'm sure he's working on something right now.
I'm working on a few different things, and I can tell you maybe a little, but probably not a lot. We'll see. We'll see.
That's going to end this segment. I look forward to playing it this weekend, and I'll shoot you over something on Twitter if you happen to see it, because I know you post quite a bit about your you write quite a bit, I noticed.
Me? Yeah. I do. I write more than I probably should. Yes, I write a lot.
I don't mean on Twitter itself. I mean just in general, you write quite a bit.
Yeah, I try to write several thousand words a day, and hit a target. And I have a lot of different projects, kind of moving into spaces. So
several thousand a day. That's a good number.
It's not too bad. It's all right. Yeah, if I could write more, I would.
All right, there you go.
Speaking of Twitter, you can follow me on Twitter, AlucardD20. That's my name on Twitter. You can follow Mark on Twitter, but he only stalks Clive Barker. So
I don't post anything. I just watch what Clive does obsessively every day. It's quite sad, really. But there you go.
Nothing wrong with that. You do not need to go to a meeting. We don't need to have an intervention. That's okay.
Where's the intervention
Not yet,
music?
anyway.
Where's the intervention? No, I'm just kidding. Let's get on to the question and answer part of the show that everyone's been waiting for. Yay!
Yes.
Questions
And answers.
and answers.
Cool.
Mark, you want to go with those
Cool.
first two?
Yeah, sure. So you've mentioned, alluded a few times during the show already that you came in during the run of Hunter the Reckoning. Was that your break into game design, or did you get started in game design before that? And how did you get your start there?
Well, I originally did some work for I shouldn't say work. I mean, I posted some things to the website Ex Libris Nocturnus. During that time, and it was mostly Hunter related stuff that I was posting out there. And around about that time, there was an Hunter's All Call, Hunter Writer All Call, put out by Ken Cliff and Bruce Ball. And it was basically like, I think, write us 1,000 words on why you'd be a good Hunter writer or something. So I wrote this probably pretentious thing about the internal and external locus of control and how Reckoning was moving, these characters' control from an external affected by the world control to an internal, I can, take my own life and my own destiny kind of thing. So they somehow thought that I wasn't a complete douchebag, and they gave me a word count on a book, which was in that case, I think it first started with Wayward, and then I moved on to the Hunter's Storyteller's Handbook. And the reason that they had openings on those books was because Mike Lee, who was a Hunter writer up until that point, became the developer for Demon the Fallen, and they had a space. So because Demon exists, I started writing for White Wolf. So I owe, apparently, Satan some sort of, money, drinks or something.
He keeps lists, so yeah.
Yeah, well,
Checks
like
it twice.
Santa and Satan.
Checks it
Yeah,
twice.
well, we haven't missed the correspondence there. It's only one letter, and they both wear red.
I know.
So
I know. Damn list making demons.
cool. So that was your break from, as it were, fan to designer through the All Call.
Yep. Yeah, you got it.
Cool.
Fan to designer.
So how did you get into gaming to begin with? Is it a long running thing? So, did you start with the D&D red box like everyone and his brother, or did you get your start in another game system?
I kind of started with that. Like, it was a sad, pathetic start because I had all the D&D books, and I would sit there quietly and read them and draw them, and I would imagine what a game would be like. And I had pen and paper to make dungeons, and I would never play. In fact, it would take me years to actually end up playing a D&D years after that. But then I guess I was maybe like 15 at the time, which was, holy crap, like 18 years ago. And a buddy of ours said, well, let's go to this game con up in Lehigh University, and we went up there and we played Vampire, the Masquerade First Edition, and that was pretty much the doom slide from there into my gaming. And then it was Rifts and D&D, and so,
Cool.
Excellent.
I'm gonna jump just a bit because I'm dying to ask this question. Gotham Lord from our forums, who's hosting, by the way, a play-by-play game in our forums about the Mortals in the New World of Darkness, and it's based around Gotham. So fans out there want to check it out and join in this game. There's still plenty of slots. It's fun. I'm having a blast.
Looks
with
very
it.
cool.
We're moving along a little slow because it's a little slower paced game, but we're having fun. His first question to you is there any truth behind the rumor that August 5th was National Chuck Wendig Day?
Yes, and it started, I think, last year. White Wolf terrified me and made me pee my pants a little because I woke up on August 5th and I, went to, usually I went to the White Wolf website to go into the forums, and on the White Wolf website, my picture was on the main page, staring back at me.
God.
I had coffee and I was like, I think I'm dreaming. I'm obviously hallucinating deeply because I'm looking at myself and he's looking back. So that's fucked up. So at that point, then I learned that they did this cool freelancer holiday where they put the books I worked on, which is apparently a lot, on sale on Drive-Thru RPG. So they did it again this year. So apparently August 5th is now canonized as some kind of idiot's holiday for me. Yay!
You get your own day. How cool is that?
I know. There will be parades, sir. There will be parades.
But will there be a Snoopy float?
Not yet, but we're working on it, by God. And if we can fill him with vodka and explode him at the end, we will.
Awesome.
So that's right, Chuck. You're not too far from my house. We gotta go to the bar. Nah, never mind.
Yeah, the vodka explosions.
Now,
That's right.
wow. Gotham Lord also asks, on the lines of the Hunter line, in the future, I don't know, you might not be able to talk about this, but I'll ask this anyway. Along the lines of Witchfinder, Spirit Slayer, and start dealing with any books dealing with the Changeling or the Fae coming out for Hunters, or is the line complete?
Well, here's the thing. The line is largely complete, but of course I thought it was complete before, and we're getting one more book, which we'll talk about probably soon-ish. So will there be a Changeling book? I don't think so. Here's the kind of the thing. If for some bizarre reason there was a giant groundswell of support for it, and a lot of people were asking for it, and a lot of people were buying a lot of Hunter products, there might be cause for them to say, well, this is worth it, we're going to make some money on this. Even though Geist is out, we can still keep rolling out some cool Hunter products. But Hunter's got a lot of support. While it didn't get as many books as Changeling, it got, I actually think, the most PDF alternative publishing support out of any game line yet. So we've had a lot of books. Would I do a Changeling book in a perfect world if I were not only a freelance developer and I had magic bags of money? Yes, I absolutely would. Changeling is easily my probably second favorite game of the whole shebang, and we still run a Changeling game all the way back to playtest. When we playtested Changeling The Lost, we're still playing that game, and the Hunter interactions with Changelings have been so sweet and perfect. There's so many stories there, so from your lips to God's ears, or Eddie Webb's ears if he's listening. Eddie Webb. I've got your number, Eddie Webb. Changeling book, Hunter. Call me. We'll do lunch. Good.
Excellent.
Well, actually, he said not to feed you, so there'll be no lunch involved.
I know. We've already broken all the rules, and like gremlins, I will multiply. So.
Oh boy. Well, if you do multiply, is there any chance, the rumor of you working on a new mage book?
I could be. There is a mage book, and it's called The Chronicler's Guide, and I have done work for it.
Are you able to share any tidbits on that, or is that all hush hush still?
I assume it's still hush hush. I can probably tell you that some cool people are working on it. I think Matt McFarlane was the developer on that, and I know he's a friend of the show.
A couple of shows.
Like, all I can tell you is, sorry, what was that?
I just think had him on a couple of episodes. Yeah, it's a great guest.
Yeah, excellent. The Requiem Chronicler's Guide had a certain vibe to it, so let's assume that Mage Chronicler's Guide maybe has a similar vibe.
Yeah, the Requiem Chronicler's Guide was really well received. By all accounts, it's just chock full of different, the old fold, spindle, and mutilate thing going on there. So it'd be nice to see that for Mage too.
It would, wouldn't it? Very good, sir.
Along the lines of Mage, he also, Gotham Lord, may add, wants to know if there's going to be any path books like you did with the Vampire Clans.
That would be awesome. I have no say or clue what's coming up with Mage beyond the Chronicler's Guide. I do know that the Vampire books, as designed by Craig Grant, who is he's a talented man if you've seen the Clan books, because those are unerringly the prettiest role-playing books I have ever seen in my life. I just want to hold them, and I want to pet them, and love them. So if Mage got books like that, I think that's only a good idea, but I don't have any idea. Sorry.
That's one game I really haven't played much into is Mage. I know Mark is a big Mage, the Ascension fan, so... Mark, you get anything?
Yes. I occupy a strange world that's part Ascension and part Awakening. It's kind of a turquoise purple thing. It's great though. It's a nice place to be.
That's cool though. That's good.
Yeah.
And for his last question for Gotham Lord, he wants to know: is there any information on the Mirrors book for the Mortal line that you can give us?
Yeah. Well, I am developing that book. We have a great team of writers as usual. We have some some good guys on there. Wood Ingham and Rob Donahue, Ben Baugh. So we have some really solid guys on that. Well, I can't tell you too much about it. Obviously, it's still kind of a veiled beyond secrecy kind of a thing. But you look at the name and you say mirrors. Mirrors kind of got this. Hey, what happens in mirrors? There's reflections, and if you look in a circus mirror, you might have strange reflections and new ways of looking at things. So, Mirrors might be a book about a new way of looking at things.
Cool. Did you ever read those two books by Stephen Donaldson, The Mirror of Her Dreams and A Man Rides Through? They're all about mirrors and magic and that kind of thing. Oh.
Well,
yeah. Well, that kind of fun.
Good.
Yeah. Cool. Another one of our listeners, Thantrax, he's got a whole bunch of questions all kind of clustered together. He was asking what prompted the decision to write the new Hunter project in development. You know, was it overall book sales or a particular product you can point? You know, you said that the PDF sales were at least partly responsible for the getting another book out there. Is that something to do with it, or forum chatter, that kind of thing?
The new Hunter project, I assume he means Compacts and Conspiracies. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think part of it is definitely book sales. I think some of the PDFs have done very well, at least from my understanding. Some of the PDFs, like I had written Block by Bloody Block, had done, I think, very well. I think the collection of horror stuff by a whole bevy of writers, like David Hill just won an Emmy for that. Those, I think, sold very well. So there's a lot of great Hunter love kind of, coming out. So, I had long talked about this kind of, long pitched this kind of idea that we need to talk more about the Compacts and Conspiracies. So, Eddie relented, and I guess he got tired of me sending teddy bears with bombs in them and stuff like that. So.
Cool. Thantrax also wants to know, he says, are there any ways that you can suggest that fans of the Hunter line who want to see more of it can show support? Now, I'm guessing at the end of the day, it's the bottom line. Go out and buy books.
The bottom line is buying books and get other people to buy books and show your love as much as you can. Obviously, if someone were to see some giant spike in internet traffic and Hunter the Vigil takes over the internet, great. But buying books is the best.
That's what it comes down to. But are there other ways fans could indicate their interest more?
Absolutely. Get on, if you have a game, get on RPGNet or White Wolf forums and do an actual play. Get on, blog and do some fan stuff. Have fun with it and be vocal about your sport. And at the very least, even if that doesn't earn you a new book, it will earn you other Vigil players who will talk to you about their games, and there's nothing wrong with sharing toolbox resources and having that.
Yeah. Cool. So, when White Wolf is looking at these things, at the end of the day, it's going to be the book sales. But do things like forum chatter and actual play and online fandom, do they push interest within the company an appreciable degree, or is that always going to be deeply in the shadow of the sales?
Well, the thing is, unfortunately, you're asking the wrong guy. Being a freelancer in Pennsylvania, I am completely
away from that.
The actual, kind of the business side of things. I'm quote unquote. He's creative. He's probably drunk and untrustworthy in Pennsylvania. We don't give him numbers or math or anything like that.
Hey.
So I don't actually know how much it. I know it has to count to some degree because certainly fan surging gets people interested and stuff. And I know like Eddie and Ethan and Justin, they're on the forum, so they're seeing this. So if if people love it, well, that's a good sign. If you hate it, that's a bad sign.
I know David's also from Pennsylvania too, I believe, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And staying with the Compacts and Conspiracies thing, Thantrax also wanted to know: are we going to see coverage of the Compacts and Conspiracies that are laid out in the core rulebook, or some new ones, or a combination of the two? If there's going to be old favorites covered there, are they going to get coverage for all of them, or only some? It's a lot of ground to cover.
It is a lot of ground to cover, and being the guy who's writing that, I'm noticing that it's a lot of ground to cover. We are doing the existing Compacts and Conspiracies, and we are doing all of them. So that is all 12. And I should make it clear, we're not doing the ones from the supplements, only from the core. Now, the thing is, part of why we wanted to do this book was it was like this, there's all this great stuff that surrounds the Compacts and Conspiracies, and we kind of spread a lot of great little secrets out through the supplements and through the horror recognition guide. But it was like, boy, there's still some really cool stuff we could talk about there. Like, we're not done talking about them. So that book is definitely a part of what we want to talk about.
Excellent.
Okay. Go on to Boggin Knight has a couple questions for you. Now, speaking about the Hunter genre, do you prefer homegrown heroes or a more organized approach to making your characters up, or how do you like your games?
Yeah, you mean more organized? Like, do I prefer my guys to be, in organizations, or do I do toolbox? mean, I guess what's the question?
I guess, do you like your players to develop along their own characters or follow like a standard toolbox character?
Oh, no, yeah. No, I encourage anytime, I have my players, I want them to do whatever's best for them and their story and the story. So, absolutely. It's very toolboxy. We bring a lot of new rules in, throw rules out. Absolutely. Homegrown.
And his last question, I'm going to phrase it a little differently, but I'm a new player. You have Hunter the Vigil. How are you going to convince me to play Hunter the Vigil over any other games in World of Darkness?
Well, it's a stupid thing, but I would ask you what kind of, Hunter game, Monster Hunter game you envision in your head, and when you tell me, I will tell you that Hunter the Vigil will do it, because it will. Hunter the Vigil, we designed it as like a really, what can't we throw at this? Well, as it turns out, we can throw almost everything at the book. So any concept for monster hunters that are, within reason, you're like, well, I'd like to have, blob men who come from Venus. Well, it's like, yeah, all right. That's maybe not a monster hunter trope. You're just making crap up now.
Oh,
but if you were to, if you kind of go through that whole idea of, all the way back to Hunter the Reckoning, to the Inquisition, to, anything from the old World of Darkness, anything from, horror comics, you can really do some cool stuff with Vigil. Vigil's very versatile. Vigil will do what you want it to do.
So the main attraction is that you can pretty much do whatever you want with this game and enjoy.
Yeah, as I said, it's the paint with a shotgun approach.
I like that philosophy.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I have a few more questions for you. Mark, you want to go in the next group?
Yeah, a little last bunch here from one of our listeners, Zorlak. A few more general questions. He wanted to know what was your favorite World of Darkness book, either old or new.
Old. Wow, jeez. Old, I really liked Walking Dead for you. You called it out earlier for Hunter because it was it would introduce Carpenter and that whole kind of great, Orphic Circle thing. There was such a good story in that book, and it really is what I think sold me on Hunter the Reckoning. Before I even got the core book. As far as new, it's kind of hard to say. First of all, I feel kind of like a dick because I wrote like a lot of the stuff, so I hate to be like, well, I really like the ones I wrote, everybody. Wink, wink, bye. So pick something I did not work on. I will say, first of all, World of Darkness Innocence is brilliant. Everybody who contributed to that, it's just such a creepy, fun, weird spin on the World of Darkness. So great. Another good example of the toolbox approach. Hey, here's a lot of things you can do. And then while I worked on some of them, I didn't work on all of them. Damn it. The clan books line for Vampire, again, they are so pretty. And they do the great thing like the old Hunter books, like the old Hunter the Reckoning books. They're about 75% cool game fiction and artifacts and very neat, stuff you can pull out at the table and show people, and then a good 25% solid, deep, crazy crunch. So
cool. Stay with New World of Darkness. What's your favorite game line in the New World of Darkness? Do you have one? It's a little bit obvious, I suppose. But
I know. I Vigil so much. Come on. Let's just take Vigil off the table because I love it so much. I can't even talk about it.
And the Hunter line.
Changeling makes me so happy. Changeling is great. Every time I pick up Changeling, I have 1,000 new stories in mind. Promethean comes in close, but Promethean's kind of one of those games where it's a little like Wraith for me, where I pick it up and I'm like, I have one story I want to tell with this, and then when I tell it, I'm probably done. Whereas Changeling, I don't, and that's not a knock against Promethean. What it does very well. Changeling is just like a whole crazy grab bag of awesome, and every time I pick it up, I just want to keep running it.
Excellent. Stepping away from the World of Darkness, what's your favorite non-World of Darkness game line or gaming system?
There are no other game systems. I heard they erased them. No. Right now I'm kind of digging on.
I agree.
What's that?
I agree with you. They are erased, especially Wizards of the Coast. Yes, Mark, I'm taking a shot
Sorry,
at them
Watson.
again.
I'm digging 316 right now because it's such a.
Oh, that's great! That is so much fun.
So good and so simple, but yet so complex. There's so much you can do with it, and it's so easy. Like games. Yeah. No, obviously, I like complex games too, and I like big, crunchy, mammoth bludgeon of wildebeest books. But by the same token, it's this thin little book, and you're like, "What is this? Oh my god, I want to play this now! I can do it right now. I can sit down and I can just play it. Like there's no, not a lot of effort, and you feel like really satisfied. And the story builds as you go. It's just a neat system, very very innovative stuff. Oh, and I'd also like to call out to like Don't Rest Your Head. I haven't played it.
Oh, love that.
Yeah, come on, so good.
Don't ever rest your head.
Right, that's the whole point.
Yeah. Although Vince has taken a shot at them already, I'm gonna. The next question from Zorlak was, "What's your favorite edition of D&D? The old D&D, the AD&D, third edition, fourth edition.
That's
Got
right.
a preference there, or
I'm calling you out, Rodney Thompson.
The old AD&D has its place in my heart for sitting in my attic quietly weeping as I wasn't gaming with. I sadly have not played fourth yet, but I do like it. I think it's I like what it does. I like what it says and what it does, and it's a new look, and it's innovative in its own weird, non-innovative way, if that makes any sense. So fourth edition definitely has a kind of a special moment for me if I could just get someone to play it.
Cool. And
I don't live too far.
his final question... sorry, Vince?
I said, I don't live too far. It's a joke.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
That's right.
And Zorlak's final question, why do you love role-playing games?
Because it allows me to dress up as a sexy vampire nun. No.
Wow. Secrets revealed on darker days.
The thing about role-playing games is kind of interesting. As an industry, it maybe feels like it's shrinking, but as a concept, it's doing nothing like that. It's bleeding out into all of our games, into video games. It's bleeding out into this great transmedia stuff. It's bleeding out into the alternate reality games you're starting to see surrounding certain IPs, certain properties that are out there. So I like just the fact that you can embrace a new role and get a new perspective on things.
Excellent.
Cool.
2 more questions. Well, 3 more. Yeah, I've just added 1.
You just added him. I'm never leaving.
Never
4 more, 5, 8.
27 and a half more questions to go.
Damn.
When is your next contest? And referring to contest, I mean the signed autograph book of the Night Stalkers and the Spirit Slayers. Or either or.
Well, first of all, I'm sorry. That means I have to plug my other stuff. It's connected.
Yep.
My friend and I, Marty, and Marty is also one of the writers for Hunter, Martin Henley. We have been for a stupid number of years doing a kind of a serialized fiction thing in a notebook called Shadow Stories, and we decided that, hey, the internet was just invented last year. Why don't we use that? So we put this thing online, and it's at www.thestoryverse.com. I don't think anybody actually says www. I think I'm like a dinosaur for even adding that in there. Thestoryverse.com, STORYVERSE.com. And when we first launched, we did a contest for a free Spirit Stalkers or Night Slayers book. So we are going to be doing another contest. We're on chapter, what did we post Wednesday? We posted chapter 6, and I think we'll probably do a contest before chapter 10. We'll let everybody know like the week before, and we'll post it on probably Whitewolf forums and obviously at thestoryverse.com if you want to go there right now. I think we might give away either another Hunter book or Werewolf Wolfsbane, something like that.
Okay.
Cool.
Sounds good. We'll have to keep an eye out in the Hunter forums. I know I've been watching that post every single day. I would have an autograph book, so, And
I think the next contest will be a little more creative.
Other than
I
just
think,
post.
Yeah.
What was it? Give us a teaser of something that you're going to be working on that we don't know about, if you can.
Game specific or just in general?
Game specific, White Wolf, if you can say something.
Well, I don't know if there's anything I can really tease without giving away too much. Game specific, the Shadow Stories property we're working on, we are working on a game. I got together on Sunday and had a good meeting.
Oh, good.
So we've got that coming. Kind of a very loose, funny, science fiction satire narrative kind of game. So there's that. Obviously, there's Complex and Conspiracies. That's a big one. Mirrors is going to be a good one. I've got Vampire the Wicked Dead, which if you want to read more about the Strix, well, then I'm your guy. That's in there.
Oh, cool.
I'm working on some TV and film properties, but that's not gaming. There you go. There, I teased a bunch of things. You people, stop asking me questions. Who are you? How did you get in my house?
It's called the Internet.
No, I've never heard of it. I'm sorry.
www. Never mind.
3 W's.
The last
In a world.
In a world where there was 3 W's left.
Exactly.
Last question. I've asked this to everybody else. Household appliance. If you could be one, which one would you be?
If I could be a household appliance?
Yep, and why?
Oh, man. I'm going to go crock-pot, and I'll tell you why. First of all, what crock-pots produce are delicious. And you don't have to do a lot with a crock-pot. You can just, I'm going to put some pork in there and some garbage, and it will be delicious in about 8 hours. And the nice thing is the crock-pot is just really lazy. He doesn't do anything. Like a microwave there's nuclear energy, and a toaster's I'm ready to pop this toast, goddammit. But a crock-pot, you just sit on the counter, and it doesn't do a damn thing except to just slowly grow warm. It's like the greatest lazy... It's like a day on the beach for a kitchen appliance. That's my feeling.
Awesome.
Well, Matt actually said he wanted to be a toaster oven.
Okay. That's fair. That's a good choice.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. It's like spicy hot coils. No, I get it. Matt's he's a firebrand. I like that. That's good.
And Eddie actually picked his iPhone, which really isn't a household appliance, but he's so obsessed with it. So.
Eddie was probably high on meth or PCP at the time. You really can't trust what he says. In any given moment, he's I think he's dangerously insane. So just watch him. Watch him.
Oh, boy. Well, that's going to pretty much wrap up the questions, unless Mark has any surprise questions, which I'm sure he doesn't.
Ooh.
Mark?
Roll, please.
No, I have no surprise questions today. I'm just enjoying the whole household appliance thing there. Every time you ask that question, it cracks me up, man. That's good stuff.
I actually got that from when I was in the college days and I was doing radio and TV. One of the people that I was working with, he's like, we got to ask that question. It's the best question in the world. And I thought it was the dumbest question in the world, but it turned out to be the funniest question in the world. So
It is a great question. I agree.
So I just went with it. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's going
Staple of the show now.
That's going to wrap up things for this week. Mark, what's our email? How could you get in contact with us?
You can drop us a line at darkerdaysradio@gmail.com.
I thought maybe you lost us there. No, he just
Yeah, I was like, is there more? I'm hanging on the edge of my seat. Gmail.donkey?
My plan eventually is to have a good 20 to 30% of the show composed of nothing but silences and email addresses. That I think would be
nice. Dramatic pauses for the win.
Skype, yeah. Darkerdays.tk, that's Tom Cat, for anyone out there who doesn't know TK. That's our website, or you can go to wildgamesproductions.com/forums. Sign up, ask questions. Next week, which we'll be back, again next week, we will have Stu Wilson joining us.
Oh,
for
Stu.
a 10th show, yeah.
Yeah, he's like Scottish or Canadian or something. I don't even know what he is. He's Micronesia. I don't know. He's a foreigner. That's what he is.
And he is a listener of the show, so he will be getting back to you on those comments, by the way.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see, Stu Wilson. Actually, his secret identity is Steve Wilson, so please call him Steve Wilson, American hero.
Oh, yeah.
He'll understand. He'll explain it. Just bring up Steve Wilson. He will explain it.
Mark, you got to jot that one down for next week.
I'm jotting as we speak.
There you go.
Okay, and you can contact Chuck if you really want to bother him. Chuck, just give out your plugs again.
Yeah, I am at terribleminds.com, TerribleMinds.com. That's my website and blog and whatever you call that. And then our serial fiction is up at thestoryverse.com. And then also 2 other White Wolf guys, Wood Ingham and Will Hindmarch. We have a kind of just a place to deposit our short fiction and sort of, talk about fiction and do all that great stuff at jet-pack.net.
Okay. And if they want to contact you directly? Too bad.
They cannot. They must use bird entrails or tea leaves will be the only way. No, my website, you can get me through my website. Is probably the best and easiest way because I have like 30,000 email addresses.
So I shouldn't put your email address out on White Wolf? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you can try, but the NDA hounds will tear you apart.
Yeah,
Sunder.
that's true. And just
they have ninjas for that. Yeah.
Just on a side note to the listeners out there, I know they've asked this question if we could pass along email addresses of the developers or the designers, and unfortunately we can't do that. It'd be unfair. So if you have any questions for them, just give it to us and we'll relay it to them. That's going to wrap everything up this week, folks. This has been the Darker Days podcast, episode number 9. The Chuck-Man Cometh is going to be our title for this one.
I like that.
Thanks, Chuck.
Thank you for
thanks
joining
you
guys.
guys. That was good fun.
And
It was good talking to you guys.
thank you for showing up.
No, it's cool.
This is
Have
Vince.
me on again. Yeah.
All right, episode 9, you can come on with Stu. No.
Sweet.
That's actually episode 10.
Fight. It'll be awesome.
Oh, boy. That'll be for a special show and a special day. This is Vince signing off for Mark and Chuck. This is Darker Days Podcast, the unofficial, official podcast for White Wolf. Good night, folks.
Are we still here?
Oh, we're still here. By popular demand, we're back again with our after show. Or our post show. A lot of people like the post show, the after show, because it just basically is just us. Non-White Wolf stuff.
Exposed.
Oh, boy. So today I was, before the show, I was rambling around. I had a computer crash. So I had
A bad one?
Yeah, pretty bad. I lost quite a bit of things. That's what prompted me to make all those new nice little sound effects again. I had to pull
I
them
lost
off.
500 gigs last month.
Wow.
Are you serious? 500 gigs?
Yeah, I had two external drives completely packed and a backup drive, and they all failed all on the same day. It's like, oh my god, everything just
Like,
gone.
Did you piss someone off? Like a god, perhaps?
I don't know what it was. It was, oh well, that's it. Fuck now, mate. Okay.
Oh, whoa. Yeah, and I lost quite a bit of the sounds. So I had to redo all the sounds. I do need to get one sound. Yeah, I'm calling you out. Beckett from the forums, contact me. That bumper that you had given me, I need that again. So, and I know he was working on something else, possibly to hand into us so we can do a waddling. So.
Cool. Hey, that's not the bumper that was from the other week, eh? The Monty Python one.
No, that
Or
was
is it?
that was Boggy
Okay, it's
Knight's
different.
one.
Okay, cool.
Beckett had actually sent in a bumper to me, a nice long. It was like a good promo bumper. I had it and I wanted to use it, but the computer crashed, so I couldn't use it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, man, send that one back. Cool.
So, Chuck, what are you doing this weekend for the long weekend?
Yeah, I don't even know. I'm working. Honestly, that's probably what I'm doing. I've got to crank out more of this compacts and conspiracies business. I've got script editing to do. I've got crazy. I'm busy. So no vacation for me, unfortunately. The joys of the freelance writer are no vacation.
No vacation.
Work,
no
work.
money.
Yeah, work. It's the only way you get paid. Good luck with it.
I actually saw
Yeah, cool.
that David Hill actually posted something about let me write your game.
Yeah. Yes. He which I think he
Was that
I think
serious?
he covered it. Otherwise, I would pimp it here. But he I guess he found himself in a as we all do sometimes a momentary money problem, and he, by God, he was proactive and went to handle it and said, "I will write you game stuff, pay me." And he within 3 hours or something absurd, he had himself lined up for a month's worth of work. So
Nice.
That's fantastic.
yeah.
So, Mark, what are you doing this
cool.
weekend?
Sleeping probably once I shift this damn flu. The kid's gone back to school this week. Eldest boy just started secondary school. Is that junior high? He's 11 or 12. I don't know what's that called in the States. He started today, yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. And my daughter goes back tomorrow. So then it's just me and the 2-year-old knocking around the house, which should be fun.
Nice.
So that'll be kind of cool.
That's bad.
Yeah, just the boys. Mostly, though, I'm staying off the internet. I had earlier this week, I got involved in a really stupid argument on EN World about fucking digital piracy, and I only managed to embarrass myself. So I'm going to stay the hell away from the boards for a little while now, I think.
Well, the good news is you probably weren't the only one, because that's how we all are when we argue on the internet. So
Well, I kind of, when I get online, I like to sort of, be a bit relaxed and be a bit positive and get my geek on. But it seems to be the case about once every 12 months, I just kind of flip out and go completely mad, and that was this week. So, that's been good for another 12 months. So,
Yeah, 12 months is good though. It's for me, it's like every 36 hours, and it's not healthy. So.
Well, this guy came on and he was basically talking about how as long as he's bought the book, it's okay to pirate the PDF of the book. And I'm thinking, well, yeah, I'm not sure the guys at Drive Through RPG and RPG Now would agree with you there, seeing as that's how they make their living. But
Right.
I don't know. He wasn't having it, and I wasn't having it. Yeah, and there's some pushing and shoving, and tempers flared, and there were names called, and moderators got involved, and so kind of ugly.
Yeah. I just love the people like on Eddie on his blog, White Wolf Blogcast. He was saying how people blatantly say to him, "Oh yeah, I illegally downed the PDF. What are you going to do about it?" So he's
Well, yeah, and sometimes they come to you and they say "Well, I downloaded it, and isn't that awesome? I'm a really big fan." And you're like, "Well,
pay for
that's
it.
cool. I guess. Thank you. That's weird. I just stole your car. I love it. Oh, great.
Thanks for ripping me
I
off.
stole my car.
Nice tasting cars. Thanks.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate that.
Well, I'm mostly annoyed at myself because my approach on it is arguing on the internet is it's kind of like taking part in mutual felching. It might seem like a really good idea at the time, but before long, you're just going to wish you kept your mouth shut.
There you go.
Yeah.
You should get a shirt made for that. Bumper sticker.
So yeah. Anyway, that's my lesson for the week.
You will be sleeping, Mark, is what you're saying. Staying away from the internet. I myself will be on Saturday. I will be playing Hunter the Vigil.
Excellent. Is this the inaugural session or?
This is the prelude. We're going to get them gathered up. I'm going to get them in there. I'm actually basing it off of Supernatural somewhat because I kind of like the theme going on with the hunters, like that show. So,
Yeah, it's a great show.
I'm basing it somewhat off of that, and hopefully I restricted them to compacts, so they're not too powerful. Because I can't. My group has been a pain, Chuck. I mean, we're going from a D20 group that plays D&D nonstop,
Right.
And D20 Modern, to White Wolf games, and they're just like, haha, I kill it and I take the money off of it. That's not the point of this game.
Where's his wallet?
You don't get anything for that. Yeah. Right. You can't steal their resource dots.
Yeah, it's like he's like, when we played Inquisitors, he's like, I take his gold. I was like, okay. He's like, how much do I get? I'm like, okay, 20 gold. How many dots do I have?
3d6.
It's like, I don't know. I didn't think about it. I'm sorry. It's not the point.
He's like, well, I wasted, like, they wasted, when they made up their Inquisitor characters, they wasted 4 dots merits in resources.
Yeah.
I was just like, why?
That's good money. Yeah.
Okay, you can buy everything, but can't do anything else.
Right. I can buy plague victims. Awesome.
And then we're doing a whole barbecue thing on Monday.
Oh, nice.
Hopefully you're not
Oh, you guys
barbecuing your gamers.
I'd like to.
So you guys go to holiday this Monday over in the States?
Yeah, it's a little thing called what's it called again? Labor Day.
Labor Day, curiously.
Is it? Okay. We had one last Monday.
We don't
I
labor
don't know
on
what it's
Labor
for, though.
Yeah, Labor Day. We just don't work on the Labor Day.
Yeah, makes no sense. But that welcome to America.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I'm going to unplug.
Yes. Hey, thanks again.
Yeah, no, thank you, guys.
Yes, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time. We'll contact you in the future for a future show, possibly.
Do it. Yeah, do it. I'm game for that.
Thanks very much. Have a good night, everybody.
Cool, guys. Take it easy. Good meeting you guys.
Cheerio.
Bye.